One of the legends of professional wrestling and one of my favorites, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Good morning, everybody. They say the best way to get people's attention is to whisper. But that's not the Hacksaw Duggan's way. I got to give a ho!
Got the thumb up, Hacksaw.
There you go, yeah. I tell folks, one time when I got my 2x4, I got this big giant splinter in my thumb. I went, ho!
A little bit of showbiz, never heard anybody in wrestling or in politics. Do you like anybody so far during the presidential scene?
Well, I enjoy watching the whole process. You know, I'm not real political, but I'm more conservative than you would think with all this long hair and a beard.
What do you think about Trump?
Well, Trump, I know I've met Donald a few times. Of course, he's very involved in wrestling. You know, we had WrestleMania 4 and 5 at the Trump Plaza down there in Atlantic City. And you know, he was at WrestleMania in Detroit just recently where he put his hair on the line. If he lost, he was going to shave his hair. So at least I know the guy, and you know, he's the only one I've ever met.
Oh, of the candidates you're talking about. Yep.
Of the candidates, correct. Yes.
Where do you reside?
I live in South Carolina now. Yep. I'm originally from Glens Falls, New York, right up the road there. And I played my college ball in Texas for Southern Methodist University, and then bounced around for a while. Lived in Florida for 20 years. Moved up here about 8 years ago to take care of my in-laws.
Oh, you were a Mustang at SMU.
Yeah, the Mustangs. Yeah, Mean Gene Okerlund, he used to say, Hacksaw Duggan, who took a cut and pay to leave SMU and go to the Atlanta Falcons.
Were you there when, was it Eric Dickerson and Craig James, was it? The Pony Express?
Yeah, I was a little before them. Yeah, I was there in the early 70s. Yeah, those guys. I appreciate it, though. Thanks. And I got nice socks, too, honey.
Not a tattoo, like Phil.
No tattoos. No.
Do you ever get up this way?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. You know, like I said, that's my hometown area, so I get up there quite a way. At this time, we're up there for 10 shows up there. I'm bringing my wife, and so we're a little worried about the weather, but we should be okay, I hope.
Don't worry about it. It's like 50 degrees here this morning, so we held...
No, Jim, don't listen to him. You worry about it, man.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Comedy, how'd you fall into that?
Well, as I say, you know, I tell folks, if you want to hear some good knock-knock jokes and jokes about your grandmother, then go somewhere else. You know, it's kind of a behind-the-scene look at professional wrestling. Road stories about Jake the Snake Roberts and Damien, ring stories about Andre the Giant, rib stories about Owen Hart and other guys like that. So it's a funny look at wrestling, a behind-the-scene look at wrestling, and folks really enjoy it. Last summer, we did it all through Scotland and England. Jake the Snake and I have done them up in Canada and here in the States. So there seems to be quite a market for it, thank goodness.
What about the human growth hormone story? Has that been something that you've witnessed throughout the years in wrestling?
Well, steroids were rampant back in my day, of course. You know, of course, nobody realized what steroids were, you know, back in the early 80s, and they were just, of course, I took steroids, and I'm also a cancer survivor, so, you know, you reap what you sow, I guess.
Yeah, but did almost all the wrestlers do some form of steroid or human growth hormone?
Well, I would say maybe all, but a high percentage. You know, a lot of folks try to compare you to sports teams. I say, you know, especially back in the 80s and early 90s, we were more like a rock and roll band than you were a sports team. You know, I tell you, the booze, the broads, the drugs. God, I miss the old days.
Talking to Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the Talk of the Town at 100.7 FM WUTQ.
Hacksaw, can you share one of those stories from us, or even a highlight, like something from your career that you really cherish and took away?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the wrestling Andre the Giant. Andre elevated me from a mid-card guy to a main event guy because he challenged. He was in the ring on TV. I challenge anybody. Of course, any giant in the business are like, Duggan, come here. I had to wrestle all those big guys. But anyway, I ran down and had my chin on Andre's belly. And when he went to grab me, his thumb hit me in the lip and just tore my lip off. So now blood's pouring down my chest. He's got me by the throat, and he's choking me down to my knees. I feel around on the floor. I get my 2x4. I hit Andre between the eyes. He goes down like a giant redwood. The WWF goes off the air. Me covered in blood, standing over Andre the Giant. with a 2x4 in the air. Oh!
That's epic, man. That's an epic story.
Guy. Yeah.
So
it's a good career for me. I tell folks, I've been doing it over 35 years. I've been with my wife for 30 years. I never had to go to rehab for booze or drugs. No felony arrests. A couple of misdemeanors, but it was the 80s. She's a nice girl. Knock that off. Oh.
What'd you think about the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, I don't get along very well with Rourke, and I thought it also put us in a bad light. There's a lot of guys in that position, but there's also guys that are successful in our business. Roddy Piper, God bless him, Tito Santana, myself. We've been with our wives. We live a normal life. I put 2 daughters through college, and there's a lot of guys like Mickey Rourke out there landing on thumbtacks and all that stuff. But there's also guys like myself that had a good experience in wrestling.
So it's all about the person, like in any business.
I tell folks, we're not all Scott Hall.
Well, you're going to be joining Phil on stage. Phil, give the details of what's going on here.
Sure, yeah. We're going to be in Rome at Paolo's Event Center. It's 337 West Dominic Street in Rome. And we have our doors for general admission are opening at 7, but there is a VIP meet and greet dinner. Dinner with Duggan. You can sit down with Jim Duggan and have dinner with him. It's a meet and greet. It's going to be great, man. And that's any fan. I mean, this is like a wrestling fan's dream come true. Mm-hmm. And we got a very limited number of those tickets. And that'll be a little bit earlier. That'll be at 5:30.
Wow. So Hacksaw, nice vegetarian meal. You'll sit down too, or what?
Do you use utensils?
You'll never see me in trunks, I tell you. I'm not afraid to have a bite to eat. That's all these bodybuilder guys and stuff. I think that's kind of something that's wrong with the business. They're all kind of cookie cutters. They all look alike. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, you had the bodybuilder types like Hogan, and you also had Earthquake and Typhoon. Those great big huge guys, they were the most powerful men out there. Those 400-pounders are just strong. They may not look good, but they're powerful.
That's what I've been trying to tell my wife.
Hacksaw, can you do a favor when you stop up in February? Just hit Jim or hit Phil with that 2x4 if you would. Phil.
Well, I got to be careful when I jump out of the car too quick. I pull a hamstring nowadays.
Thank God.
Of course, all the kids I wrestle now, they're all 6'5", 300 pounds, 25 years old. They're like, Mr. Duggan, are we on TV? I'm like, I hope not, son.
Thanks, Jim. Would you do a quick ID for our show, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just say who you are. Throw a hoe in it, whatever you want to do, and just say it's the talk of the town, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to Talk of the Town. Tough guy. Hey!